Today we're going to go more in depth on setting the high and low for the session. Stay tuned, traders. We'll be right back. G'day traders, I'm Stacey Burke from Stacey Burke Trading. Thursday, huge moves yesterday on the pound crosses. A lot of questions and feedback regarding the high and low video that we did earlier this week. We're going to go a little bit more in depth and go over that a bit more, and we're going to expand upon that in the next video as well. Over the weekend we'll talk about the weekly template with the high and low of the week. But today we're going to go a bit more in depth. Last day we reviewed our simple system. We talked about the high and the low of the sessions and the importance that that plays in terms of letting the smart money or the market establish a high and a low and working from the extremes. I'm just going to reinforce the planning, preparing, and performing aspects and reviewing our simple system. The whole point of keeping it simple and to have a very simple model that works is that you can duplicate that. And often the big challenges, the real challenges, are managing yourself in live time, even when you have an edge or a profitable system, and even when you develop the skill set at executing and you're aware of all the little nuances that the smart money will throw at you, but it's still challenging to execute in live time, which is why if you keep things simple and you master those little pieces of the puzzle along the way, that's what will enable you to gradually build your confidence and the discipline to execute and the winning mindset through being consistent and profitable. So again, structure. We're going to go over a couple of examples in the video, in the examples today about structure. Yesterday was a really good example of a rectangle down low on the third, after 3 days of drop on pound Aussie, pound New Zealand, and how that structure played out heading into yesterday's Europe-London Open. Structure gives us a bigger picture, bigger geometrical shapes that we can ascertain as to whether or not we can get a measured expansion of that range for a measurable profit target, as opposed to just randomly picking 50 pips. The high and low of the session and the high and low of the day, we're going to talk about that a bit more again today. And the importance of timings. I cannot emphasize enough the critical nature of the opens, the timings of when the market is opening. Even after movements have occurred, the importance of the openings, because that's when the market will either continue a move, consolidate a move, or stop hunt a move. Round numbers, and again the last couple days, pound Swiss, pound yen, and the pound, they've tightened their volatility up just a little bit, and now working off of quarter levels a bit more as they used to, as opposed to necessarily 50s and zeros. But that said, the high and the low, you'll notice, have set themselves up at those quarter levels. So again, but the importance of numbers, high and low and round numbers. And then obviously setting your stop loss, putting your profit target in place, and letting the trade play out to its fruition. One of the things that can drive traders crazy is being at the screen, nursing a trade, doing all the little things that can end up sabotaging the trade, when you're better off in a lot of cases to set your stop, set your target, set a time limit, come back in an hour, check your trade. And in most cases, if you've gotten that right, you being at the screen will have no impact on the outcome of that situation. So if you want to get consistent results, practice setting your stop, putting your profit target in, and walking away. And then of course the trade management, as we just talked about. Review, improve, and scale. If it's simple, you can duplicate it. If you can measure each one of those steps in terms of performance and your ability to execute, then you can improve upon each aspect of that simple formula. Okay, so we're going to go a little bit more in depth. We talked about this last day. Each session, Asia, London, New York. Okay, and we're going to expand upon this over the weekend in terms of the weekly template. Each session, over the first 3 hours, between 8 and 11, 2 and 5, give or take the end of Asia, and 8 to 11 New York AM time. All times are New York Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so wherever you're at, it doesn't matter what time your charts are. If you don't have New York closing charts, I recommend that you get New York closing charts. That 24-hour cycle will roll over consistently, and then work from these times. So what will happen, you know, they can whip it around in the rollover and do all kinds of crazy stuff, but once the market opens, they'll paint a high and a low. After that first 3-hour window, everything else that happens will either be going higher, going lower, or staying inside of that high and low. And so what this information can tell us about the first 3 hours, whether that's Asia, London, or New York, and you'll see over the course of the day how these start to fit together, is that if they give us a high and a low, from this point, if they come out and they work it higher and we're near numbers, we have two scenarios. We have two scenarios that can occur. We will have either a three push pattern or a double top or a breakout pullback for a reversal, or we will have a breakout and a continuation for a trend at the Europe London Open, at that next window. Now if they stay inside of this range, then we know that same thing occurs for London when Europe and London open. If they break to a new low, now we will either get consecutive 3 pushes to a level, to numbers, or to a stop hunt for a reversal, or we will get a breakout pullback for a continuation short. If the market goes sideways in Asia inside of this high and low, then that makes it really easy to see when those borders are broken in the next session, because that is our high and our low. So we either will have a breakout continuation or a breakout pullback for a reversal, either long or short. Now, if the market pushes 3 pushes into the high, into the Europe Open, and sells off, its first target will be the low of the day. Now in a lot of cases it will extend that low. So again, the next 3-hour window for London, okay, so if they start up here and this is the new high, and they work their way down over the next 3 hours, which could be at numbers, okay, same thing applies. In the next, at the end of that 3-hour window, now we will either have some sort of setup for possibly a reversal, pin hammer, little mini double bottom, whatever, or they will work the bottom in 3 pushes into the next 3-hour window to retest the low. They'll consolidate volume here, give a sell high signal for a stop hunt to the downside. So again, this first 3 hours in each session is really important. So a lot of traders show me their blue boxes, and this is really where we talk about those 3-hour sections and the 915. It's mostly important to pay attention to that second 3 hours after they set the high and low, because that's the information they're going to tell you if they're bringing it up high for a sell, or they're consolidating it inside, and possibly one of the extremes is already in place for the session. You may already have a low of the day in place, and when London opens, they may trap you inside for a move to continue for the long trade, or vice versa for the short trade. Now, the other scenario is that if they work the bottom in that next 3-hour window and we're near double zeros, this is where the boxes are really important, because if you're near the bottom of a double zero box and they're working the low, chances are you're going to get a buy signal for at least a 50 pip move up, and vice versa for the sell. Double zeros are critical when you're inside of the range. They are major levels, psychological and institutional, for selling and buying. We talk about being inside of the box. A lot of traders have said, Are you talking about the high and low? Are you talking about the double zeros? I'm talking about both. So when the Asian range sets up, the first thing I always look at is when the market's trading is where are the round numbers, the double zeros. 50 not so much. It's significant because it can be a level to sell or buy off of, but if you're inside of a double zero, what's important is that when they go into that next 3-hour window, if they respect that border, that double zero boundary, chances are they're working at 3 pushes for a move back up. But if they break through that and they pull back, that now is a stop hunt area for a move down at least 50 pips, if not to the next double zero level. So hopefully that makes sense. But it's really important. Each session they set a new high and low, then they consolidate. In a lot of cases they'll consolidate the volume back inside after they've set the high and the low, and then they will either stop hunt to the downside, stay inside, or stop hunt to the top side. And that's the question that I always want you to ask is, are they working the high or are they working the low? If they're working the low and you're down your numbers and the market respects that, chances are when we go into the Europe-London session, you're going to get a buy signal, and vice versa for the sell up top, especially at double zeros. We'll take a look at some examples today. Hopefully that makes sense. There's 50 pips every single day, and as we saw yesterday, there's 300 on a couple of the pairs. So plan, prepare, and perform. Keep it really simple, traders. Remember, review and improve and scale it up in size. Stay disciplined. Thank you for all the comments. Again, I'm trying to get through responding to everybody and answering all the questions. Juggling 3 kids at home right now. Hopefully everybody's safe and healthy where you are and you've had a good week of trading. Stay focused. Let's look at some examples now. Have a great trading day, and may the markets go with you.
Hi traders, it's Stacey Burke from Stacey Burke Trading. If you haven't done so, please head over to my website at staceyburketrading.com. I create updates on almost a daily basis, and I would love for you to receive them. Just click on the blog. If you want to enter your name and your email address, I'll send you my free audio program, the 7-Step Daily Routine for High Performance Traders. This is essential knowledge for all traders in all markets, and this is for helping traders to master the market with discipline, confidence, and a winning mindset. I appreciate all your feedback and comments. As always, traders, stay disciplined, and may the markets go with you.